لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله ما لنا رب سوى لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Some people have interpreted shafa'ah or intercession as appearance of the benefit that you have made in dunya from a person or from something like the Quran. They say shafa'ah is nothing other than the, for example, guidance that you have received. So if you have followed Prophet or Imam or the Quran, this benefit, which is guidance, appears on the Day of Judgment as shafa'ah. And it has some strengths. But we said shafa'ah is more than this. Shafa'ah is not only limited to the extent to which you have practically benefited from someone. Shafa'ah is that when you follow someone or something and benefit from that person or that thing, then on the Day of Judgment, in addition to all those things that you have benefited, that person or that object will intercede for you. So, if we have been following Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam 100%, then there was no reason for shafa'ah, because then you have no sins for which you need shafa'ah. Shafa'ah is for the people who have committed sins. If you have not been following Rasulullah at all, again, there is no chance for shafa'ah. So, you have benefited from his guidance. Now he comes and helps you with something more than what you have done in dunya. Like, for example, you had a teacher and you have been listening to your teacher, studying, but instead of getting 20, you've got 15. So 15 is because you have listened, you have followed, but still you have 5 extra marks that you have lost. So the teacher says, because you have been good student, so I will talk to the head teacher or the principal of the school, and perhaps I can get 2, 3 for you. Maybe don't become 20, but at least there can be some improvement. Or maybe you have got, for example, 10, you need 12 to pass the exam, for example. So, it's not irrelevant to the guidance, but it's not limited to the guidance that you have received. It's more than that, but based on that.
Because the hadith, in the beginning of the hadith says, when the fitnas are coming to you, invading you, then take refuge in Quran. The Quran is shafa'un mushafa. So the shafa'at here, because of the beginning.
And it has continuity. وَمَاهِلٌ مُصَدَّى, so on and so forth. So the Quran helps you and guides you. Also on the Day of Judgment, we have hadith, وَكَانَ الْقُرْآنُ حَجِيزًا عَنْهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ من قرأ القرآن وهو شاب مؤمن اختلط القرآن بلحمه ودمه وكان القرآن حجيزا عنه يوم القيامة. So Quran protects this person, doesn't let this person to go to, for example, hell. So in dunya it saves you from misguidance, and in akhirah it saves you from punishment.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This is like, so according to what you explained, can we say that it's not this, it should be necessarily an actual person in Muhammad who is intercessor. For example, maybe the manifestation of Quran, manifestation of our prayers. Maybe it should be someone in Day of Judgment who is intercessor, and he's not an actual person, but he's a manifestation of our prayer, manifestation of fasting, manifestation of Quran. Is it possible?
Yeah, in the course we had about Quran, I don't know. Maybe some of you were there. When we talked about Quran coming on the Day of Judgment as a beautiful person, Lam yura ahsan wajhan minhu qattus, something like this. We said that because everything has a life and understanding in the hereafter, so it's as if it's like a human being. Everything is like a person. So Quran comes as a person. But person doesn't mean human being in the physical sense. Yeah? Even I think, inshallah, in heaven when you drink water, the drops of water that you drink are like, angels. They have understanding. But it doesn't, doesn't make trouble for you. You don't feel bad that you are eating something, which has life. It's like, because eating and drinking is like absorbing. So if you absorb something which has light, which has understanding, which is in communication with you, is very important. Yeah? Like, for example, reading a book that every word here speaks to you. How beautiful it is. If the ideas in the book speak to you. So this is like drinking. Because drinking water is like learning knowledge. Yeah? Some people say when in your dream you have water, it can stand for knowledge.
And also a verse of the interpretation of a verse of Quran. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ. Imam says, one infallible Imam says that this فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ, it means insan must observe and must assess from whom is getting his knowledge from.
Yeah. إِلَى عِلْمِهِ مِمَّنْ أَخَذَهُ. Yeah. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now Allama Rahmatullah Alayh has a philosophical discussion. He tries to explain Shafa'ah in a philosophical way. It's very difficult, yeah, to explain Shafa'ah in a philosophical way. So he says, for the details of the hereafter, we cannot bring intellectual arguments for the details. Yeah, we can bring argument to prove that there must be resurrection, there must be justice. Yeah, but the details cannot be proved by reason. Like dunya. In dunya, you cannot prove, for example, how many people exist on the world, on the earth, by philosophical arguments. Yeah. You cannot solve economical problems by philosophical arguments. Yeah? Because there is no way to reach from philosophical points to particulars, juz'iyat. Yeah? So, for hereafter, we cannot use intellectual arguments to prove the details. But the basics, like there must be some kind of life in which justice can be administered, can be proved. And then Allama says one of the things that we can prove is that what human soul is going to face based on the good qualities or bad qualities, virtues and vices that has achieved. So now Allama tries to use philosophy as a vehicle for explaining the concept of shafa'ah. This is to open your mind, but be careful not to explode. So he says, when we start and we are in the state of potentiality, okay, we are the same, more or less. Of course, people don't start exactly in the same level of, light, but more or less we are the same. Then, when you do something, a good action or bad action, it would have an impact on your soul. This is very important. As soon as you do something or you say something, in addition to the impact that it may have on the external world, like for example, someone else or something else, it can have an impact on the agent, on you yourself. Yeah? If I say something to you, I am in a sense shaping myself as well. Yeah? Maybe even you don't hear what I told you, but I have shaped myself. Yes? So there is an impact, but that impact can be something which is not established, something which is not very deeply rooted or embedded in our soul. Can be something temporary, yeah? But if you keep repeating the same thing or similar things, then it becomes like permanent or established quality, which we call it what? Queen, huh? If someone is not careful, they translate queen. So this is not queen, huh?
You're accustomed to.
Yeah. So perhaps the reason it is called malaka is because it is something that you own. Yeah? Something that you own it, perhaps.
How do you translate it?
Quality. I say permanent quality. But when we say permanent, it doesn't mean that it cannot stop. It means that it's difficult. It's established, but you can change it. Like, for example, many things which are permanent in dunya, they can change. For example, we say, where is your permanent address? It doesn't mean that it's not changing. It means that something that you are there not as a guest or passenger. Yeah? Permanent address. So, when you keep doing this, it becomes a permanent quality of the soul. If a person does everything in a virtuous way and he gains virtues, then he is what we call Sa'id. He has achieved felicity, okay, or happiness. But happiness not in the sense of joy. This happiness means Sa'ada, felicity. Okay? Whatever this person does, which is good, would be suitable to this condition that he has and suitable to human nature. So if he does something generous, because he has the virtue of generosity, so this generous act suits the generosity that he has and suits his soul as human being. Therefore, he would have pleasure. He would enjoy this. If someone keeps doing bad things and gains vices and vicious qualities, then when he does something bad, that bad action is suitable for his vices, vicious nature, but not suitable for human nature. So he would enjoy his bad actions from one aspect, but he would also suffer because he is still a human being. Okay? So if this person, for example, who is very greedy, yeah? If someone is greedy or jealous or selfish, so if he does something in proportion to that, he would enjoy it because he's a person who is jealous. He enjoys. But as a human being also suffers. Maybe he doesn't understand that suffering immediately, but it brings some pain. He wouldn't have, peace of heart. Okay? Sometimes there's a conflict. Sometimes you do something and you enjoy, but at the same time, you suffer. Like, for example, if you know that eating sweet things is bad for you, because God forbid you have diabetes. Okay? So you know that you shouldn't eat sweet things. So now someone brings, something sweet and you eat. It's difficult for you to resist. You eat. So now you have a mixed feeling. You enjoy, because if you don't enjoy, you don't eat. But at the same time that you enjoy, you also feel bad. Yeah? Because you know that you are doing some harm to yourself. So like a mu'min, even if he commits a sin, always he's also suffering. Mu'min cannot enjoy 100% the sin. Yeah? Because he always feels bad. So, the person who has bad quality, which is established, when he does something bad, as that quality suits his bad condition of the soul, he enjoys. But because his human nature is against that, there is a pain, there is a problem, there is a conflict. Yes?
When it comes to existence, perfection, or benefit, I think we cannot justify a jealous nature, because when we talk about the existence, in a position to existence is nothing. So when philosophically speaking, I think we cannot interpret a nature which is jealous nature as much as it causes of existence. So it is khair and kamal. Human nature has a portion of existence. So when, for example, he acts something wrong, he loses some part of those perfections or existence or whatever we can call it.
But that greediness is something existential. The quality.
I think it's not the quality, it's not the existence.
It's a quality, is a condition. Quality, I don't mean by quality, good quality. I mean a condition, an attribute. It is a quality. Sometimes a person is jealous. A person is, arrogant. This is something which exists. You cannot say it doesn't exist. You cannot say whoever is not generous is, for example, miser. No. These are qualities that exist, but the outcomes, Allama says, the athar can be adami. That's another issue. So this person who is jealous and has the quality of being jealous, then what he does brings losses. He doesn't increase his rich. He becomes more poor. That's another issue.
Adam Safala is
No.
jealous.
No. It's, Razila is not just not having fazila.
So the balance that we speak about,
And therefore, you can have a person who is not generous, okay? Or who is not, for example, brave, but he may not have quite opposite. Sometimes he is not just generous, but sometimes he is miser, and even this can increase. If it was just not having generosity, it shouldn't have degrees. You know, when something has degrees, it means that it is existential.
Sorry for saying that, we can have these degrees in the side of generosity, okay?
And that is existential.
Yes.
Yeah, but also the opposite has degrees. So if bukhl was just not to have generosity, then we shouldn't have different levels of bukhl.
Why not? Because we have different levels.
Because something which is adami, which is negational, cannot have different degrees.
I think it's at the body, it's not adami.
You can have different degrees of, for example, light. Okay? Then you can say, okay, we have different degrees of darkness. But in reality, these are different degrees of light because we don't have absolute darkness. But if you have something as really darkness, which means you have no light at all, then what does it mean to say more dark? It doesn't make sense. We cannot have darker. For zero, there cannot be degrees. So whenever you see there is degrees, it's because it's not really opposite. It's like darkness, which is weaker light. So, do you believe that bukhl means weaker generosity? No.
How can we justify that?
If bukhl was just weaker generosity, you are right. But bukhl is having no generosity at all. And this then can become a stronger and stronger. Yes.
How can we justify the sentence al-wujudu khayrun? There is no way to justify in this interpretation you presented. We cannot justify this. Al-wujudu laysa bi khayrun in this sentence.
We had a discussion about this. Al-wujudu khayrun doesn't contradict that some of the beings are also negative. If you remember in the discussion we had about ma asabakum min hasanatin famin Allah wa ma asabakum famin anfusikum, we said everything as far as it's connected to Allah and receives the being existence from God, it's good. But it doesn't contradict to say that this is also bad. Like your sins, if you commit sins, these sins as beings which are created are good. But at the same time, these sins are bad. You have committed something bad.
The philosophers try to justify these bad actions and say these are adamil, that Adamul, for example, khayrat.
No, you cannot say like that.
Even for example, killing the people, they say.
For example, can you say cancer is good? Poverty is good. Corruption is good. Zulm is good because just it exists and everything which exists is good? We say no. Yes, they are good as far as they are creatures of God. Even cancer is good. But you cannot say these are good in the sense that these are good in a moral sense. These are two separate things. Shaitan is good or bad?
Chastisement.
If you say shaitan is bad, so why God created shaitan? God never creates something which is bad. If you say shaitan is good, so why shaitan is doing all these bad things? So we say shaitan as a creation is not created to be bad. As a creation is a good creation. But at the same time, shaitan has decided to act in a bad way. So we cannot say shaitan doesn't exist because wujud is khair. Because what you say is that to say shaitan doesn't exist because everything which is there is good.
That's why I wanted to justify and bring another explanation for bad actions. To say for those bad actions are not existential actions, things in the world are just i'tibari. They are not wujud,
No, this is a wujud, something that I can see. It's existential.
Even Imam says the pain is adami.
Pardon?
For example, the pleasure and pain. So the pain that you are, for example, this is not wujud.
No, pain is also wujudi. There is a difference between not having pleasure and having pain. For example, now I don't have pleasure of smelling a good, flower. But it doesn't mean that I have pain.
It says Adam salama is Allah. Adam sirha.
No. Adamul lazza is not alam. Lazza and alam are amran wujudiyah. Yeah, they are existential. Both are not existential. Okay, so this is the way about the people who have very good or very bad soul, in the sense that they have acquired good qualities, virtues or bad qualities, and what they do suits them. But sometimes, for these people, we don't have problem. If everything is good or everything is bad, we don't talk about shafa'ah for them. But we have people who have good soul, but unfortunately they do bad things. These bad things that they do does not suit their good soul, their zat. What is zat? Allama says zat is your aqa'id, your beliefs. That is the main thing. Okay? So a person who has good essence and has bad actions, these bad actions are accidental. Arazi. These are not essential. And philosophers have a rule that everything which is accidental, which is coming by force, sooner or later would stop. Al-qasru la yadum. Okay? So he sometime must get rid of all these burdens of these bad actions. On the other hand, if someone has bad essence and he has some good actions, these good actions are qasri. And sooner or later, these good actions will go away. They cannot be permanently. They have not been established. They have not become part of this person. Yeah? So if your action is done in the way that has become part of you, this is very good. For example, who can be resurrected on the day of judgment as alim? The one who has been learning? No, it's not enough. But if you have acted according to your ilm, yeah, and absorb that knowledge, then you will be inshallah resurrected as alim. Okay? Who would be resurrected as a good person? The person that has some good actions in compliance with his essence. But if your essence is corrupt and you do some good actions, it's not enough. So this is the second condition. So the first condition, the people whose zat, whose essence and actions both are good, or zat and actions are bad. These are people that are very clear. Then people who have good zat, bad actions, or bad zat, essence, good actions. We said, if they have bad zat and good actions, it will go away. If they have good essence, bad actions, it will also go away. And the process is, one of the way is forgiveness, one is shafa'ah. Shafa'ah is here. And if someone has not yet developed, like a child, or a person who has not been intellectually developed, a person who has been mentally disturbed, okay? So these people, we have to leave the judgment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Murjawna ila amrillah. These are mustad'afun. So we have 3 groups of people, and for the middle, then we have this shafa'ah. So this is a kind of philosophical explanation for shafa'ah. There is another thing that I will inshallah mention later. Mr. Maddahi first. I think you are the second. Was there anyone else? You also? Okay. So Mr. Maddahi, please.
I think fourth group will be those people who try to be good, who want to follow Prophet Muhammad, or who want to follow truth. We have seen, alhamdulillah, many people who are Christians, but they want to be good. For those Muslims, they want to follow Prophet.
So this is the second group.
No. But they go wrong. But they understand wrongly, for example. They want to find the reality, they want to find the truth.
So their essence is good.
Yes. But in practice, there are, for example, some parts of
This is the second group. They have bad actions, but good heart, good essence.
You mean those people who killed the martyred the ulamas and awliyas or a'immat or prophets because they wanted to help Islam?
No. They have problem in their essence.
But they want to follow. If you, for example, I have heard they say that if you keep, for example, 5 Shias, you are with the Prophet at night.
But who listens to these things? Not a nice, pious person. These people are misguided, confused. It's not that they are really nice people and then they make mistake.
What was their intentions?
Intention might be good, might be bad. We don't know. Sometimes intention even is not good. Sometimes they want to show off that we are brave, or they want, Sometimes even may be good, like someone who with good intention drinks poison. It's possible also. But I don't think a person whose essence is good, he would do big mistakes. This is one of the things that I believe in. I believe mu'min never makes big mistakes. Maybe I am too hopeful, I don't know. But I believe that...
Too optimistic.
I believe if you are mu'min and you are really honest, humble, truth-seeking, you make mistakes, but not big mistakes. Because for big mistakes, Allah always completes the argument. Itmamul hujjah. And if you are good, you take it. You take the signal. يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ. This is very important ayah. يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ.
So we mean those, for example, I don't want to make an example here, but those, for example, ulamas, sometimes it happens through the history of Islam that at the end of their lives, they do somehow big mistakes politically or something like that. They have problem during their lives.
We have to see what we mean by big mistakes. Sometimes everything little, we make it big. This is a problem. We don't have, unfortunately, patience. So if today you don't say salam to me, I say you have become kafir. Then I look for something in your life. So Mr. Madahi must be having some problem for many years and just now appeared. No, we shouldn't look at things in this way. So first, we make everything, even every disagreement, little disagreement in politics, we first make it ideological. Then we make it something related to one's beliefs and relation with God. So at the end, we make him Talha and Zubair, and then we say, okay, this must have a long history. But this is not the case. We have to accept that people can make mistakes without necessarily being bad people. So when I say big mistake, means something which is really big, not something that because we don't have Sharh Sad, we take it to be big.
Take the example of Carbon Zubair itself. They tried in the beginning of Islam.
No. Their problem, of course, even Talha and Zubair are different. Amir al-Mu'minin didn't treat Zubair like Talha. Although Zubair, came to battle, but because he left and there was something different. But they had, for a long time, developed in their heart love for dunya, love for money, for position. Talha was not just like, for example, Ammar that made a mistake and then became Talha. If Ammar tomorrow makes a mistake, we shouldn't treat him like Talha. This is my point. Say, now that you made a mistake, you are Talha and you have been Talha for many years, but we didn't know that. No, Ammar can make mistakes. We should accept that.
But not great mistakes.
Yes, great mistakes in the sight of Allah, not in our sight. So, because unfortunately sometimes when you are not good with me, I think that you are a bad person. The late Ayatollah Ahmadi Mianaji, in some of his lessons, used to say that, for example, there was a person in, I don't know, Najaf or Samarra, and he used to say, when the marja of that time, when he gives me money, I have no problem. But when he doesn't give me money, his adala is in question. Sometimes people question adala of a marja just because, for example, that marja refuses to give him some money. It's very subjective issue. If every day you come here and I smile at you, treat you nicely, give you money, then you think I am angel. Yeah? But if for some reason I don't give you money, one day you say, okay, it was a mistake. Second day, after a few days, then say, this man is shaitan, this man has problem. So then you find many other things in me. Then you feel responsible as your duty to go and say this to other people, and at the end, you make a big thing out of just not smiling at you.
And sometimes some sentences do not appear to be a great mistake, but the reality is a very great mistake and sin. Like misguiding a revolution to another path.
Yeah.
It's just a simple sentence like a free election.
Yeah, but then who is judging that this is misguiding or diverting? For example, I have disagreement with you over something. Then I shouldn't say that because you have another understanding, you are misguiding people. We have to really understand. It is true that some people misguide. But on the other hand, people, for example, there were people who thought that Mullah Sadra is misguiding, Imam Khomeini is misguiding.
There must be a criteria.
There must be a criteria.
And the
that criteria, if it is mentality of people, it's very tangible, very subjective. For some people, as soon as you have a little disagreement, you are murtad, you are kafir, you are deviating the whole history of Shia. Some people are not that much. You know, the way, for example, people treated Dr. Shariati. I am not supporting Dr. Shariati. I'm not taking any stance. But I'm saying, you know, some ulama were very harsh. Some ulama, they were critical, but they never, you know, said, you know, something very bad, very, you know, radical about him. So this is very important. We have to learn, you know, how to cope with disagreements. We shouldn't make any disagreement something very big. At the same time, we shouldn't become very indifferent and too liberal. Whatever people say, we say, okay. No, there is something here, you know, it's a very narrow path. It's like Sirat. If you are not careful, you become either too liberal or too strict. And we have very little number of people who are balanced. Either people are liberal or they are very strict. But this is something that you need to experience and, you know, exercise from early years of Talabigi. It's very difficult to understand that, because, you know, unfortunately what happens is that in many cases when people have problem with me or I have problem with people because we have religious position, then we even unconsciously use our religious position to justify ourselves against that person. For example, if I am an alim, my wife is not alim. If she has some problem, I say she doesn't understand Islam, for example. She's not good, you know, with alims. If I have problem with my father-in-law, the same. If I have problem with my neighbor, the same is when you become, for example, Imam Jum'ah of one town. If people, you know, don't come to your salat, if you are not really trained and you have not worked on yourself, you say, the problem is with people. You don't say, I have problem, or maybe I have problem. You say, problem is with people. They don't love ulama. In this town, they don't love ulama. But maybe it's not problem with people. The problem is with your behavior. So it's very difficult to learn that we can make mistakes. And to learn that our treatment of people must not be based on the way they treat us. You know, this is very difficult. This insaf is very difficult. You know, if we have a problem, if I have a problem with someone and I go to the court, then we realize that the judge is friend of the other party. For example, it's his friend, his cousin. I say, I don't believe in this court because judge is his friend and can be biased. Yeah? Now, you can understand how difficult it is to be judge between yourself and someone else. We don't accept someone to be judged between his friend and another person. How difficult it is to be judged between yourself. Yeah? So I have problem with Mr. Pakdeen, take him to the court. Which court? The court that I am the judge. How much chance he has? Maybe in 1 million people, even you cannot find one person who can bring the person to the court that he himself is judge and then gives him fair judgment. This is insaf. Insafun nas min nafsik. Very difficult. And you cannot say that I will, you know, become munsif when it's needed. You have to learn this from childhood, from primary school, from kindergarten. This has to be taught. If you wait till you become alim and then you want to learn, you can never learn. I believe many of the problems that we have, many disagreements, fights that we have are because of moral issues, not really because of issues related to the big mistakes or big, differences in understanding Islam. Many things are results of emotions and moral things. But because we are, very clever, then we use religion, all these things to justify. This is a big problem. Okay, you finished. Okay, Mr. Dagu.
My question is that the late Abdullah in the beginning of the discussion is basing the perfection of human being upon their deeds, their actions. One can shape his soul by his good deeds or bad deeds. But lately, in the end of the discussion, he somehow prefers the beliefs upon the deeds. He says if someone has strong beliefs and good beliefs, and maybe he has many sins, many bad deeds, his soul is being shaped because of his beliefs, not because of his sins and bad deeds. The question is, somehow there's a contradiction here, and also if we are to put emphasis upon the beliefs, there's a question with regards to people who are living, for example, in other countries, foreign countries, for example, and we have many examples, are people who maybe according to us they don't have the true beliefs, but in their heart, in their nature, they are good people.
Yeah.
Yes. And they are trying to help people and have good deeds, but they have wrong beliefs. According to the end discussion, and this is a bad soul by his action.
Yeah, this is like Mr. Rand. Allah says, "Al-insanu as-sa'id ذاتا الشقي فعلا بمعنى أن يكون ذاته ذات صورة سعيدة بالاعتقاد الحق الثابت." So he puts focus on Aqidah. But I think it's because he didn't have time to go into details. Otherwise, we believe that the Zat of a person here is his Aqidah and his qualities. So the virtues that you have are very important. So if someone says, only I have true Aqidah, but he has no virtue, he is not Sa'id Zatan. Okay? So we have many verses and hadiths that on the day of judgment, the qualities of soul are very important. Qalb Salim is what? It's just a heart with Aqidah, proper Aqidah, or with good qualities.
Comparing the beliefs and actions, seems that beliefs have more impact upon the soul than the actions.
Sure.
But
This is good.
They are justification of the beginning.
إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفعه. I think we had discussion about this, or I don't know, maybe it was somewhere else. الكلم الطيب, which is Aqidah, يصعد. This is you. Amal al-Salih lifts. So you go to the lift. Who is going higher? You. What is taking you higher? The lift is action. So your Aqidah is part of you. Your Aqidah ascends. But Amal al-Salih helps you to ascend.
So how we justify the people who are, as I told you, who are good in hearts, but they have wrong beliefs? Because the beliefs is an important part.
Yeah. That is the discussion about faith. My understanding is that the main thing is submission to the truth. This is the most important Aqidah that you should have. Submission to the truth. And I have some argument to say that this is indeed the core of taqwa. The most important sign of muttaqi is that he is submissive to the truth. If you have submission to the truth, but for some reason you have not been able to find the true religion, you can be excused. But if you don't have submission to the truth, and today you believe in the true religion, but this is just by chance, maybe tomorrow it doesn't suit you, then you go away. This is a very important discussion. Maybe we need some time, to talk about this. I had a series, Indicators of Piety, 8 lectures, and we reached this conclusion that the main thing is submission to the truth, search for the truth, accepting the truth. And therefore, if someone has this quality, okay, and he becomes Muslim, like Salman, how many days Salman needed to become a good Muslim? How many salat and fasting he needed to become a good Muslim? From the first day he was a good Muslim. But if you don't have this, after 20, 30 years, 40 years of praying and fasting, you may not become a good Muslim. And I can go one step further, but please, don't get me wrong. I can say even Salman, 1 hour before embracing Islam, is better than many Muslims after 20, 30 years of being Muslim. Do you accept or not?
I cite some.
Pardon?
Even I cite some of the authors claim that the fitrat Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, even some of the kafir, so for example, Ahl Kitab, or those people who are truth-seeking, this fitra is in their heart. The truth-seeking, the fitra is that fitra. The truth-seeking in that fitra. And because of that,
fitra is in everyone, even in those who don't like the truth. They have the fitra. The problem is that they haven't turned their face towards that fitra. Otherwise, fitra is in everyone.
Okay. Those people who turn their face toward the fitra, they are not only Muslims. Because because I am only narrating the opinion of some of the authors. Because the fitra is truth-seeking. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. I don't exactly remember the verse line. لَمْ تَنْتَهُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish those people who say, of course, فَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْهُمْ.
لا يمسن الذين كفروا منهم.
لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. But at the end of the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I will punish الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْهُمْ. So it says that the first kufr was the general meaning of, but the second was only.
And this is why once I said this, I don't know if you remember, someone on this side asked a question, and I said, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. It doesn't mean that they are kafir. This aqidah is kufr, but they still can be mu'min. You remember we had this discussion about different types of kufr, and Allama says most of the time in the Quran, kufr is used for those who deliberately deny the truth. Most of the time. Sometimes people think that alladhina kafaru in the Quran means every non-Muslim is alladhina kafaru. No. Alladhina kafaru doesn't include Ahl Kitab. Most of the time. Alladhina kafaru are those who deny the truth after knowing the truth. And then I said that لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Because when I said this, then someone said, what about this ayah? I said, this aqidah is kufr. Not that they are kafir.
So, can we say that even an atheist who is a seeker of truth kind of has a good name, a good essence, and has in the way of sa'adat?
But before reaching the truth, he can be excused, but you cannot say he is equal to the one who has found the truth.
What if he couldn't find the truth until his death?
Okay. So, مرجعون إلى أمر الله. There is a chance maybe Allah forgives them their jahil qasir. But this search for truth, this concern for truth is very important. And a few days ago I was thinking about, for example, perhaps one way of talking about God to the people who are not believers in God, but they love truth, because everyone loves the truth. Even if they don't commit themselves to the truth, everyone loves the truth. Everyone doesn't love God, because the problem is that the concept of God is surrounded by many misunderstandings. Yeah, you have people who even don't like to hear the name of God. But you don't find anyone who says, I am against the truth, or I am against light. Yeah, these are concepts which are still untouched by misconception. So I was thinking that if you find a person who is committed to the truth and loves the truth, you can say that we have truth for everything. For example, a truth about scientific issues, a truth about relations between people. These are all different branches of one general truth that includes everything. That general ultimate truth that he believes in it and we believe in that is God. God is the ultimate truth, the foundation for every truth. That is God. Yeah, it's interesting, yeah? Even once I had a discussion, with some people. One of them said, why you so much emphasize on truth? Haqq. I said, because this is Quran. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ أَنَّمَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ. So Allah says that the reason you should believe in Him and obey Him is what? Is it because He's Allah or it is because He's Haqq? Because He's Haqq. Why I should obey Allah? Because He's Haqq. But why I should obey Haqq? Not because it is Allah. Do you get the point? If people don't get the point, then they say, oh, this person is confused, is misguided. But this is Quran. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ الْبَاطِلِ. Yes.
I think it's a very good conclusion that you explained that, especially about Salman. You made that example. I think once I was thinking, so what is the benefit of, for example, introducing Islam to all the people, because they know that they are right. Those people who are seeking truth, how can they?
Salman after Islam is much better than Salman before Islam. But Salman even before Islam is much better than many people who have Islam but they haven't achieved Islam. Okay? So we have Muslimin with 40, 50, 60 years of Islam, sometimes lower than Salman even before embracing Islam. But then imagine what happens to Salman after he becomes Muslim.
But the conclusion I want to refer is that, for example, introducing Islam to the people, it is very important to find those thirsty people like Salman and others to seek to find, for example, these people. we have to spend time to find these people.
Like many reverts today. Reverts, they say converts or reverts. These reverts, many of them are really truth-seeking people. When they find that this is true, sometimes they lose their job, their family, even the marriage is broken down. But they have accepted Islam and they wholeheartedly want to follow and practice. And unfortunately, sometimes then they suffer from Muslims. Sometimes. For example, they marry to a Muslim thinking that this Muslim is a good Muslim. Because they cannot think a Muslim who doesn't wake up for Salatul Fajr, for example, or doesn't observe akhlaq of Islam. So then they see that, oh, these Muslims have all these, tricks and loopholes to bypass all the rules. So sometimes there is marriage and then divorce. In my recent trip, a sister who is a revert for, 14 years, something like this. She said, someone asked me, after you embraced Islam, what was your most difficult challenge? And he said, Muslims. This is very painful.
14 years.
Yes. He said, in these years, my main challenge was Muslims.
Before that, maybe it was Christians.
Pardon?
Before that, was Christians.
No.
Before embracing this.
No, they don't have expectation from them. They know them. But when you come to a new thing, you have, for example, if someone comes from another part of the world to Qom and thinking Qom is heaven, then what would be very much disheartening him? The ulama and talaba. Yeah? Because if ulama talaba are good, the people on the road are not good, he says, okay, I didn't come for them. I have come for Hose. But if he sees in Hose there are people who are bad, then this is very difficult. Yes?
Another question with respect to this discussion. For example, comparing two persons. One is an atheist who is a truth seeker, he didn't find it yet, and he has many good actions helping people, he supported people. And another person who is a Shia, for example, and he has a love for Ahlul Bayt, but he is the most sinner among his others. In the day of judgment, which of them Allah would prefer? The one who has love of Ahlul Bayt, for example, but he is a sinner and he would be skewed by intercession, or the one who was atheist and didn't find the truth, but he has many good activities and good actions and good heart.
There are so many factors, that we cannot judge according to one factor. There's so many things to say. What type of good actions that person has, how much chance he had to find the truth, what sins this person is committing. For example, in one session I said, if, for example, the sin that he's committing is zulm to people, it's very difficult to be forgiven. Or if he doesn't have, proper salat, la tanalu shafa'atuna mustakhifan. So we cannot say every Shia sinner will be forgiven.
Especially with respect to giving service to people. We consider the first one is the one who serves people and helps people, and the other who is zalim.
So maybe this zalim would not be forgiven and that person can be forgiven. Depends. He can be qasir and ma'zur, and this person is muqassir and not ma'zur. So you cannot judge quickly.
There are some hadith traditions that they have done good things, enemy for those who do not believe in Allah. They have done good things in their judgment day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels take the good deeds of theirs and they give it to you. You have done some bad things, Allah take peace and will give them to those.
No, this is not for every non-Shia. This can be for the enemies, for those who oppose the truth. Their actions would not benefit them.
What does it mean?
It's not that many times I have said this. It's not that everyone who is not with us is against us. We don't have this mentality.
It's possible to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eliminates or for example deletes those actions, not to give those actions of the
For example, we have about Hatam Ta'i. Hatam Ta'i was atheist or mushrik, but he benefits from his generosity. He would not be punished. Even Rasulullah forgave some people because of their good akhlaq. They were mushrik. So if you want to take just few hadiths and forget the rest, it's not possible.
I myself not. I don't know what to say that, but I do not believe in this hadith. I think in some parts of the history, maybe some people they have made up this.
They can be fabricated, but even if they are not fabricated, you have to understand: is this about every non-Shia? It's about, for example, enemy. It's about like alladina kafaru in the Quran. You have to be very careful. You cannot just take few hadiths and make, a conclusion. Okay. Now, at the end, Allama has an additional point. And the additional point is about the idea of gradedness, tashkik, gradedness or gradual, but gradedness is better, or hierarchy, silsila maratib, of existence. I don't know how much you are familiar with the idea of Mullah Sadra about the gradedness of existence. And there is a very delicate issue here, that can we say that there is a relation between all these beings which come in a hierarchy, for example, the one which is in this level and the one which is in this level. What is the relation between them? For example, a horse is a higher level than, say, a stone, or for example, an insect. But this doesn't mean that the insect is receiving existence through horse. No, it's Tuli.
Horse is higher in
Horse. Which one is higher in being? You say they are equal? A horse and an insect, they are equal in being? In perfection, they are equal? No. What about horse and soil, for example, or a plant? You cannot say animals and insects are the same. Animals and plants are the same. There's perfection. No, hasharat are different from haywanat. Animal, like horse is more perfect than insects, for example. Insect compared to a flower. Flower compared to non-living beings. Pardon?
So the horse is perfect because of that we can rise for a horse.
Yeah.
No, because it must be judged according to their intellect.
No.
Intelligence.
No. If we have a hierarchy in beings, we start with the lowest of the low, which is the one which has only one form. Of course, we don't believe in Hayula, as some people say, which they say, لا فعلية لها إلا أنه لا فعلية لها. That I don't believe that. But just above that, something which has only one form, one surah. But when we reach to, for example, soil or wood or stone, it's very developed. You have come very high. Then when you reach plants, you come higher. When you reach animals, you come higher. When you reach human beings, you come higher. Okay? But this doesn't mean that they have relation between themselves. Okay? So it can be like you have, for example, aql fa'al, active intellect, then it has human beings, it has animals, it has plants, like this. So it doesn't mean that plant comes from through animal through human beings, okay? So tashkik doesn't necessarily mean they are all cause and effect for each other or depend on each other. But from above aql fa'al, there is a hierarchy. So we have different levels of causes. The ultimate cause is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But maybe in between there are several. Okay? Allah says that those beings which are very high, like Prophet, for example, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the Hujjah of Allah, they stand in between us and Allah from existential point of view. In this ladder, there's like a ladder, they stand between. So whatever comes down goes through them. Okay? Therefore, to receive mercy of God, maybe we need this person as a medium. As a medium. Not in a legislative way, not tashri'i only, takwini. Therefore, Allah says that these are wasa'itul phase, and perhaps through them we can get rid of some of the bad conditions of the soul. Zawalul hayat al-shaqiyya. You know, they have, we said, you know, if you do something bad, it has an impact on you. To get rid of that, you need higher levels of existence to help. This is just, I think, a beginning for thinking philosophically about shafa'ah. I think it needs more, you know, because Allama here didn't have time to go into details. But he's giving you a clue that if you want to use philosophy to argue for shafa'ah, you can use this as well. Yes?
Isn't it like فَإِنَّهُ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ?
But that is tashri'i.
That is tashri'i also. But you are speaking from the takwini point of view?
Yeah.
But is
Existence.
it true also in the tashri'i point of view? Because
In tashri'i, we don't have a problem.
Because both leads to the authority for their intercession.
Yeah.
Rahman is, we can those attributes in Dawai Jami Kabira mostly are about this point. I mean, actually, not actually. I think.
I don't know, it's mostly, but some of them are.
So there is a problem here. For example, if I have some colleagues who are better than me in better quality, quality. Can I say that I received the mercy of God through them?
No.
They have the quality, they are engaged.
This is why I said we are talking about only those things which are coming as a cause and effect system. So you are effect for your cause, that is effect for another higher cause, and then we have uncaused cause,
So
which is illatul ilal.
how many levels you are defining here? Love them.
We don't know how many. According to Masha'in, we have 10 aql. Yeah? The 10th is aql fa'al. But there is no way to prove that. I don't think we can prove it must be 10.
For example, we are believing in intercession of martyrs. So also we have to justify in this explanation.
No. Because the main Shafi is Rasulullah. So what happens is that if martyrs do shafa'ah, indeed they ask Rasulullah to do shafa'ah. You remember we said...
What is the proof for this that creatures need medium? For example, I don't know.
This is a Tashkik al-Wujud in philosophy. Mullah Sadra proves this by saying that because there is nothing other than existence, so we have to explain the differences by referring to existence. At the same time, what is common is existence. So ma bihil ikhtilaf wa ma bihil ishtirak are the same.
I want to know about the IMF for the medium. What is the proof of this?
So hujjah of Allah in every time, biyumnahi ruzq al-wara. So his wasitay face, the hujjah of Allah.
Just by tradition. We don't,
Yes, by traditions. Because by aql, maybe you can prove that there must be something. But how many, I don't think you can prove, for example, number 12 by aql. Or 124,000 prophets by aql. You don't expect aql to prove this. Because this is something which is not universal. Aql uses universal concepts. Al-juz'iyyu la yakunu kasiban wa la muktasaban. You can...
Problem with those philosophical reasons, but it is not supposed to discuss those. Just I wanted to know about the, what is the... Now in the Quran, do we have something that, for example, says that prophets are some medium in the existence?
Yes, like Prophet Isa when he gave life to the bird.
Yeah, on that
His wasatay face.
yes, it does. But in the example, in the instance that there were at that time, but what are the creatures? What about the time? What about those times that between Isa and between the Prophet there was no prophet?
There is always hujjah of Allah. In every age, even if there is not a prophet, there must be a hujjah of Allah. Like today, there is no prophet, but there is hujjah of Allah. There must be Khalifatullah at every time.
And we can
I have a problem with this ideology.
No problem. You are a very good person.
you're not
Alhamdulillah.